My field of choice is to study the impact of how comorbidities associated with cancer impacts your immune system and the ability to eradicate cancer cells. I think this journey started a very long time ago when I was like 5 years old, when I figured out I absolutely love science, and that's actually attributed to not only my general curiosity for everything, but also my family nurturing everything that I love, my mom, my sister, aunts, uncles, and everyone back in Lamar, South Carolina. And then my cousin actually developed leukemia when I was around 7. And so I kind of took my general curiosity and love for science. I got my first microscope at 6. And so I knew I always wanted to be a scientist. And I kind of combined that with just kind of things that I saw in my environment. And notably, I think the catalyst for cancer research was that my cousin developed leukemia. And I made a promise to him that I would always do something to try to help people with cancer, and specifically try to design and identify cures for some of these nasty diseases like leukemia. I would say that my biggest challenges were just learning to be patient, and maybe people not giving me opportunities that really challenged me early in my career. I remember an internship where I knew I was ready to kind of do science at the bench, and they wanted me to kind of do more field work. And so I think staying patient and realizing that you kind of have to crawl before you can walk. And even if it's not the ideal opportunity, there's value in every situation that you experience. And so, that was kind of, again, just being young and learning to be patient. But then also, I think there's value into showing your worth. And I think as time has, progressed and I've continued to work hard and try to refine my skills, I think I get more and more opportunities. So it was a valuable lesson to learn when I was younger, is just, prove your worth. And then also just be patient, because every situation does have something that you can take from it. So I would tell my former self, and the reason why I hesitated is because I feel like this job is just a continuum. In other words, like I had an internship at the NIH, and then, I went to grad school and then became a postdoc. So I guess my first real job would be my job as an assistant professor of pediatrics at Emory University School of Medicine in the Department of Pediatrics. And definitely would tell myself, based on the knowledge that I have now, is that everything is going to be okay. And you don't have to be perfect. There's no one-size-fit-all path to success and to happiness. And so relax a little bit. That would probably be like the best advice I could tell my former self, was just, work hard. And if you work hard, everything else will kind of fall in place. Oh, in my free time, definitely number one is spending time with family and friends. I have a wife and a son, and I love just spending time with them. That's like probably my number one thing to do, or just talking to my family, back home and abroad. In terms of just like, if I'm one-on-one, like I'm a big jogger. I like to run, love to run. I've done 4 marathons in Colorado, much in my younger days, and I'm trying to work myself back up to long distance running. But I just love to be outside. I love hiking 14ers. I love camping, playing sports. I'm there, barbecues, whatever. If it's outside, I want to be there. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Christmas. I think just obviously the reason for the season, but also the mood that people are in during that time of year. Most people are happy. The biggest tradition is just we always get together at someone's house. And so I have a big family. So it's always like, 50 to 100 people, at one house, just eating and talking and seeing the, kids grow up and exchanging funny stories. So the biggest tradition is just kind of these large family gatherings, and that happens over the course of like 3 or 4 days. It just kind of starts at, Christmas Eve and all the way extends through New Year. So it's like every day you like gather at someone's house, and it's always a big gathering. So that's typically like my favorite time of year, just to see all the happiness and the old school 80s, Christmas shows, the Rudolphs, the Grinch, the Charlie Brown Peanut, Christmas special. Like, it's just really like, I love positive energy. And I feel like, regardless of your cultural beliefs, people tend to take that time of the year to kind of reflect and celebrate, the things that they have to be grateful for. Yeah, I mean, I think, the fact that we work in a space with comorbidities, particularly obesity and aging, is, people relate to, both conditions. And so I've had pretty much every time I take a flight, people will share a story about someone who's older who developed cancer, or someone who may present with a higher BMI who developed cancer. And then, just randomly I'm able to share our research. And I can see in that moment, just talking about what they're going through is beneficial. And then I've been able to say, hey, do you know about this immunotherapy, or do you know about these clinical trials that are open? And sometimes they don't. And so to be able to kind of give people at least a little bit of hope, a little bit of direction, when they're stressed, rightfully so, about someone being sick, that always motivates me to, get back to the lab, keep grinding, keep working hard, and trying to find something that, can help people out in their, at their lowest points. So, I think the biggest thing is just be intentional about what you're doing. I think if you, focus just on like grant writing and, doing science, that obviously is really important things. But I think part of being a leader is to really kind of know like how to interact with people and like what people need and want, and then try to figure out how you best can actually fit into that equation. And I don't think you can actually get an idea of how to accomplish any of those things if you're just staying behind a desk or staying behind a bench. So I think purposely putting yourself in positions where you're volunteering in the community, you're volunteering at work with different programs. You're talking to senior leadership who've already, accomplished what you're thinking about accomplishing, getting their feedback, their wisdom, what did they do? So I think, again, just putting yourself out there and making sure that you're interacting with people, and then you're using your talents to kind of move the needle forward. But you're also putting yourself in uncomfortable positions where you can take some of the things that you may feel weak in and strengthen those things as well. But again, you can't do any of that if you're just staying behind a desk or staying behind a bench the entire time. You have to kind of expand your portfolio in all things science, so to speak. Again, for anyone who really knows me, everyone knows I love gummy bears. Like, all day, every day. Probably not the best thing for a person who studies obesity and metabolic disorders, but you have to have a guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure is easily gummy bears, and every time I travel out of the country or even to a new state, one of my first action items, so to speak, is to find an authentic gummy bear shop and figure out, like, okay, what do you make and how delicious is this particular product, and so I can rank, who makes the best gummy bears, whether it's by state or by country. So I want to give a big shout out to the Czech Republic and Prague. So far, out of all the places I've been to, they have absolutely the best gummy bears. So big shout out to the Czech Republic.